Hey, good evening, Westwood. I want to take a few minutes tonight to share with you just a couple things that have been on my mind today. I've really been thinking and praying for the folks in our church who are a part of the medical field. We have many in our church who are working in clinical settings, in doctors' offices, many who are working for healthcare providers, some who are on the floors in the hospital, others who are in administrative positions. All of them are being called to serve and go well beyond the call of duty for normal circumstances. And so I've had some of these folks on my mind today and been praying for them, trying to reach out some. And I want to just ask you to continue to pray specifically for those that are serving our community and our country and indeed our world in the healthcare profession, because they really are on the front lines of this battle against the coronavirus. I was thinking about the account that Jesus gives us of the man who was on his way between Jerusalem and Jericho, and he was robbed and left for dead on the side of the road. And the priest walked by him, the Levite ignored him and walked by him. But the Samaritan, the least one to be expected to do so, went to him, took care of him, put him on his donkey, and took him to an inn to be cared for. And Jesus asked that question at the end of that story: which of these three do you think proved to be the neighbor to the man who fell among the robbers? And the answer was the one who showed him mercy. And Jesus said, "You go and do likewise." These members of our church and members of our community and others that we know are doing likewise. They are serving and doing so in a wonderful way. It's going to get more difficult for them, I'm sure. So we want to continue to pray for them. I was sharing with you last night some of the accounts that came from some of the historical plagues and opportunities for service and some of the challenges that have faced the church over the centuries. One of the plagues that I've read about took place in around 350 AD. It was similar to the one that had happened 100 years before, but the death rate was even higher. Cyprian was the bishop of Carthage at the time. And this is what he said about that plague and about the pestilence that swept through that culture. He said, "How suitable and how necessary it is that this plague and pestilence, which seems horrible and deadly, searches out the justice of each and every one and examines the mind of the human race, whether the healthy will care for the sick, whether relatives dutifully love kinsmen as they should, and whether physicians do not desert the afflicted." Cyprian said that the plagues search us. He said they discover in us either the way of the flesh, which is self-preservation, or the way of the spirit, which is self-giving service. And that third century plague found the church to be filled with spirit-filled people who walked with Christ and walked into the flame, if you will, of that pestilence and served well. And God honored that. So pray for those who are working in the healthcare profession, those in our local doctor's offices, those in the hospitals, those who are serving the sick and taking care of them. So I ask you to pray for them along with me. I hope that you have a good evening tonight. Pray for us tomorrow. A group of pastors are going to be getting together to just pray for our churches and talk about how we can lead our congregations through whatever is going to come over the next few days and weeks. So pray for us as we gather tomorrow to do that. So, Susan, I love you. We're praying for you. And God willing, we'll talk again tomorrow.